Good afternoon. Hot day today. So we've been projected to or forecasted to have a couple more weeks of heat wave coming our way. And I wanted to show you though what's been happening with many of the tropicals because of the the heat. I mean, at the time of this recording, if you look at the temperature sensor here, it is roughly 100 degrees with looks to be 26% humidity. So it's hot and it's very dry. But provided that your tropicals are kept nice and hydrated, they for the most part won't have any difficulties maintaining and keeping their flowers and fruits. I mean, look at the store fruits here. It's going through its second harvest. Well, it's going through its second season right now. So it's most of these store fruits will be ready to be picked right around. I would guess to be about maybe January or February. Well, gauging at the size, hard to say. It's been a very strange year. But anyhow, yeah, that's been what's happening with a lot of fruits. Also, because of the added heat, it's like you just walking around your sidewalk and just happen to see a fruit here. I'm sure it's clean. It's very fragrant right around this area. And that is because of the, I mean, look at this. Really, this is like the first time I'm seeing it. This is how you know it's ripe. I mean, it literally fell from the tree. Yeah. Um, like seriously. So yeah, a lot of things are ripening at the perfect time. Nothing like free fruits. But there's a couple of trees that I want to talk to you about, though. Um, trees that are technically not tropicals, but they do really well here. In fact, they I like to say that they thrive on neglect. And those would be jujubes and also just figs. So first jujube tree that I want to talk about is a sugarcane variety. If you look at the fruits here, I mean, most jujubes are like crazy productive. If you look at this guy, I mean, I'm gonna, there you go. That is how you know it's ripe. Yeah, it is really, really like productive. As you can see, it is still flowering and small fruits still being formed, and this is middle of August. So this particular tree generally will fruit all the way till like December, where once the winter hits, it becomes deciduous. Most jujubes will become deciduous in our climate anyhow. Another thing with jujube too is the fact that they are they can be an invasive species in that if you look at these are suckers being propagated from this the main tree here. That's one. I mean, I don't know how in the world it found a spot, but that's one. And another one here. It's like, what? Why? And of course, more over here. Yeah, it's all coming from this main tree here. In fact, it was just 2 weeks ago that we spotted some suckers in this section, which means the roots somehow traverse underneath the sidewalk to where the soil is. Crazy. So I should mention most jujubes do have thorns on them. So here's a sucker actually. Whoa, wow! Gotta kill this guy. Well, it's a grasshopper. Sorry, but yeah, suckers. They will, even though it's a sucker, it still will fruit and have flower at the same time. But speaking of the thorns, so this is what I was talking about. Yeah, most jujubes will fight back when you try to prune them. So just be careful on the thorns. So that's a sugar cane. Looking at the size of this tree, you would think it'd be a bit old, but it's actually really just 3 years old. So quite impressive. Very fast grow as well. The other jujube is reported to have one of the most sugar contents of all the jujubes, and that would be the GA866. Yeah, this particular variety was bred because of the sugar content, but as you can see, it too is quite productive. The thing about this particular jujube is it's the shape is almost like an almond. It's not quite round, but I'm waiting for these fruits to have a brown shade to them. That's how you know it's got the most sugar content. But yeah, as with the other jujubes, as you can see, this is a sucker that sprout out from nearby the trunk of the main tree. But yeah, I mean, this is really one of the main methods of propagating a jujube is just plucking out the suckers. The suckers will have its own root system. Stick it in the ground or in a container, and it will, you essentially get a clone of the tree. But yeah, so GA66, another tree that is also really fast grower. You're talking, this particular tree was planted just 2 years ago, 2020. And when it was planted in the ground, it literally was maybe 2 feet tall. But it's going to this now. Yeah. So if you notice, there is a strategy to the placement of my jujube trees because they are in the front yard, south facing, because they go deciduous during the winter time, which means all the tropicals behind it gets full day sun, which is what's needed for tropicals. And in the summertime, the shade that's provided by the foliage of the jujube trees help to keep it nice and cool for the remaining tropicals back there that can appreciate some shade. So that's the strategy that I employ. So I just can't get enough mangoes. I mean, it is just so really cool looking. So anyhow, yeah, I've got a few more trees in the back, which I will now show you. So continuing on our jujube. So this particular variety here is it's actually a bit more tropical than the other two jujubes that I've shown you. This is what's known as an Indian thornless jujube. It's got thorns, so it's a bit misleading, but it's just not as prevalent. But it's got thorns. Um, so cool thing about the Indian thornless is the fact that it actually is an evergreen jujube. Wintertime, yeah, this guy never loses any of its foliage. In fact, it's actually a bit more frost sensitive than the other jujubes, where most of the jujubes they actually can't thrive in zone 6, which is insane. But this particular one, yeah, you might want to give it some frost protection if it gets too cold. But this is a bit more cold sensitive one. So the nice thing about the Indian thornless is the fruits themselves. Right now, it's fruiting, but the fruits themselves are like massive. You're talking like the size of an apple. So that's a green thornless. So the other one is another GA866. Oh, I see one right there actually. Yeah, this is what I mean. Whoops, not quite right, but good enough. Yeah, these are like really sweet. Reminds me of like honey. Yeah, it's like concentrated honey. So GA866, got another jujube here. When we got it, it was We got it because it was supposed to be GA866, but we now know it's not, and I could tell because of the shape of the fruit. My best educated guess would be it's probably a Leng Jujube, which I'm not too bummed about because, I mean, I've already had two GA866, so why not try a different variety? So yeah, so Jujubes. All right, so now on to the figs. Figs, just like Jujubes, handles the sun without any issues, cool without any issues. Figs in our area will go deciduous in the wintertime. And they actually, figs actually need quite a bit of chill hours. Most figs need between, well, depending on the variety, but some figs can go as little as about 60 to 100 hours. But majority of the figs, most figs actually need as much chill hour as you can give it. You're talking upwards of like 600 hours. And a chill hour is anytime it falls below 45 degrees, which luckily or unluckily in the Central Valley, we have plenty of months where it goes below 45 degrees on a daily basis. So figs, one of those trees that thrives in the Central Valley, thrives on neglect, uh, doesn't really care what kind of soil you give it. In fact, the more worse the soil, these guys seem to thrive even better. So the first fig I have for you is this particular one is what's known as an improved brown turkey fig. Really, the only difference between the improved one versus the regular brown turkey is the fact that the fruits are slightly bigger. It's improved. This taller one here is what's known as a Valette de Bordeaux with figs. I like it when it's like crazy, like wrinkle like this. This tells me it's got the most sugar content. I mean, it is like, wow. Fun fact, figs, there's an enzyme in the food that basically eats you. It dissolves protein. So you think you're eating it, but in reality, it's actually eating you. So figs, this particular guy, again, is a Valette de Bordeaux. The thing with Valette de Bordeaux is they're generally pretty compact. You're talking generally no taller than 10 feet. So that's why it's great for patios. Another fig that I have is this guy right here. Don't know if you can see it, but this is a Peter's honey fig. I mean, it's a fig. Now, let me take you over to this section. Back here. Wow, these are. Maybe I should just pick them and just let them ripen on the table, but they're literally weighing down a tree. So, huh, I'm telling you, like, where are these coming from? It's that tree up there, but this is a nice find. So the going back to our fig discussion, one of the very first tree that I planted in the ground, I want to say about maybe 8 years ago, right here, this guy. He is a brown turkey fig. Um, as you could see on the ground, unfortunately, not had the opportunity to pick them. So it is literally just littered with figs, ripened figs on the ground. But yeah, you know what? Brown turkey is actually perhaps my most favorite just because it is just so sweet. Very prolific, productive trees. In fact, if you look at it, I actually pruned this guy down heavily. I mean, year after year. But yeah, this used to be a multi-branch tree, but I keep pruning it and it keeps outgrowing me. So anyhow, that's fig for you. So yeah, figs, jujubes, two types of trees that really thrive on neglect. frost free, handles our heat. The more sun, the better. Are both drought tolerant in our current situation. That helps. But anyhow, all right, have a good afternoon.